Hi, my name is Zoinka Braithwaite, and this is Publishing and I. Today's episode is titled How Authors Earn Money. I'm hoping you'll find this video useful if you're an aspiring author, if you're a writer, if you're just interested in the publishing industry like I am. I want to address the question on everybody's mind. Are authors broke? Yes. Yes, we are. No, I'm kidding. You can. It is possible to make a living as an author. And but I'll just get into how authors actually earn money and you can decide for yourself. The first way is with an advance. Now, I'm gonna I create characters all the time. That's what I do as an author. So, for the purposes of this video, to make it a little bit easier for at least me to explain it, I've got a little character. Her name is Tommy. Say hi, Tommy. And Tommy is a writer. She's just written her first novel and it's fantabulous. And she's about to get to the next stage. Now, a lot of what I say is going to be specific to traditional publishing. I will try and talk about other methods in a different video, but in this video, a lot of it is going to be specific to traditional publishing. And truly, that's the sort of publishing that I'm most familiar with, though I do know a little bit about the other types, and I have dabbled in the other types, but that will be for another day. So Tommy has written her novel and she's about to move to the next stage, and she wants to know what is an advance, how much will she get paid, how will she get paid, will she have to pay an advance back if the book doesn't do well. So first of all, what is an advance? As the name suggests, it's an upfront payment from the publisher to the author. Now, as for how much you will get, it's impossible to know until you get to that point, and it's so subjective. And I'm sure you're familiar with the headlines. Author gets five-figure deal, author gets six-figure deal. So we've heard about the big dogs, right? However, you will know if you're going to be one of those people until you get to that point. And you can be offered, this industry is so subjective. One author can be offered £1,000, another author 10,000, another author 100,000, another author 500,000 pounds. And it's really down to what the publisher thinks they're going to be able to do with your work, how marketable they think it is, whether it's timely, who the target audience is. All of that will go into their decision making, and then they'll come to you with their offer and you can say yes or no. If you're talking to more than one publisher, they might bid against each other to get your book. However, I want to make it clear that having a more uh, what one might consider a humble advance isn't the end of the road. I think one of the things I've learned on this journey is that that first contract, that first publishing deal, that first advance is just the start of the journey. It's not the end. And a lot of us, that first contract, for a lot of us, that contract is what we've sort of been dreaming of. You know, you've been writing for years, and maybe you've had several rejections, and you've just sort of had your mind's eye on just, I just need that contract, I just need that deal, and then, I'm in. And it is wonderful to get to that point, but it's just the start of the journey. So I say all that to say, if you get what you might think is, you don't get that five-figure deal or whatever, it's doesn't mean that your book won't do fantastically, right? There are actually pros and cons to having a smaller advance and pros and cons to having a bigger advance. For example, if you have a really big advance, it's going to take you much longer to earn out that advance. And if the publishers, and you might not earn out, and if you don't earn out, the publishers might not give you such a fantastic deal the next time around because they didn't make their money back. Whereas if you have a very small advance, you'll earn out, hopefully, you earn out super quickly, and then you might even do far beyond what the publisher expected of you, in which case your next deal would be much bigger, much better. So don't, if you are at that stage and you've been offered a smaller advance, don't let that make you think that that's all it's ever going to be. Now, yes, a big advance does mean that the publisher will probably throw their weight behind the book. But again, books have found their people in the past organically, right? So, once more, don't let that be what makes you think, oh, I'm never going to be successful at this in this industry. So coming to Tommy's second question, well, we've done second question, but her third question about how will she get the payment. Advances are typically paid in 3 to 4 installments. The author is paid a little bit when they sign the publishing contract. They're paid another amount when they submit the final draft of the manuscript. And I don't mean the final after the editors have been through it, but just the final once the author is like done, before the editors jump on it. And you can also get those first 2 payments at the same time if you were signed with a complete manuscript. Then if you're getting a hardback, when that book comes out, you'll get your third payment, and when the paperback comes out, you get the final payment. So typically your agent will be paid by the publisher, they'll take their cut, and then the rest of the money will come to you. As to Tommy's final question about whether she'll have to pay the money back if the book doesn't do well, no, she won't have to pay the money back if the book doesn't do well, but it is important for her to earn out her advance so that she can start to earn royalties. And how do you earn out your advance, or what does that mean? So, like I said, an advance is an upfront payment. So it's almost like, I won't call it a loan, it's not a loan, but you won't earn any more money from your book until your book has paid the publishers back for the money they paid you. This is a really simplistic way that I'm explaining this, but so let's say Tommy has been offered this £10,000 as an advance, and her contract says her royalties are 10%, and the book is being sold for £10. So basically, her royalties would come to £1 for every book of hers that is sold. So in order for her to be able to earn out a £10,000 advance, she has to sell 10,000 books. And then once they've sold 10,000 of her books, then she'll start to get royalties. And the royalties are, for the lifetime. As long as his book is in circulation, she'll just be earning royalties, right? So that's the second way that an author earns money. I'm going to talk about the rest, but I'm going to talk about them. I'm not going to spend too much time on them, but if you do have any questions about any of the other ones I talk about, please drop a comment below. And these other ones are more, they're down to what the author wants to do. None of these are compulsory, none of these are necessarily standard. So, but they're a nice way to supplement your income. So another way is with commissioned short stories. If you are also a short story writer, an organization might come to you, or you can go to an organization and offer them a story, and they will pay. If they like the story, they will pay for the story. You won't get royalties. It's generally a one-off payment. That's another way that an author can earn money. In addition, I sometimes do reviews, scary work. I find it kind of tough reviewing another writer's work publicly. So it's a little bit of a struggle for me, but I do it now and again, and it can be a nice little earner. In addition, you've got teaching and speaking engagements. So, if you're standing behind a podium, say, or you're in a workshop or doing a masterclass, you will typically be paid for that sort of thing. So that can also be a way to earn some money as a writer. Articles and nonfiction pieces. If you got something to say that's you think is important to you and to others, or there's a topic that is trending and you have an angle, writing a nonfiction piece is another way that you can earn money. And it's also a good way to market yourself, because sometimes getting your work, different types of work out there, draws people to the other things that you do or have done. So it's also a nice little sort of way to market yourself and your books. And finally, one really interesting way that an author can earn money is with options. So say that a film or TV studio has read your work and they like it and they think, hey, we might be able to adapt this. They can option your work, which means that they're buying the rights for a period of time, typically 18 months, whilst they try to decide if they can actually make your book into a series or a movie. And let's say somebody has come to option Tommy's work, and they can pay her, let's say, £5,000 to option it for 18 months, or £10,000 to option it for 18 months, and then when the 18 months expire, if they've not decided to make it, they can option it again. And Tommy can also put herself forward to adapt the work, to write the script herself. And if the film studio, she might have writing credits already in that space, or the studio might be willing to give her a try. So she'll also be paid as a screenwriter on top of being paid as the author of the work. So that can also be a nice way to earn money as an author. Okie dokie. I hope that this video has been useful and just getting into this. So anyhow, this is something that this series, Publishing and I am going to do. I don't know how many videos, but I'm going to do a couple more of these, just talking about things that I learned, things, how to get an agent, things I didn't know before entering the industry, things I find really weird or interesting about the industry. So if that sounds like something that you're here for, please keep a lookout for the videos. Or if you have a question that you've not been able to ask anybody, ask me, drop a comment, and I will try and address it in the video, or I will reply the comment. Okay, thank you for staying to the end of this video. See you in the next one.